Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for those of you who are in time zones to the east. I'm Lisa Fain, CEO of Center for Mentoring Excellence, author of Bridging Differences for Better Mentoring, and here in my capacity on the VK Authors Board for our Author Hacks webinar. Very excited to be here today with Rob Jolles, whom many of you know. Before I introduce him, a couple quick housekeeping things. We have you muted as participants. That does not mean that you shouldn't speak. If you'd like to do so, you can unmute yourself either by clicking on the phone icon in the lower left-hand corner of your screen or by touching and holding the space bar on your computer like a walkie-talkie. We'll also be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions for Rob, I'll be looking at those closely and make sure that he gets them throughout the course of his time this morning. But I would like to not take up more time and really hand it over to Rob. So let me give him an introduction. I know many of you know him well. We're going to dispense with a lofty professional speaker's bio today and just remind you of who's here to speak with you. Some of you know Rob is an auctioneer who will stop at nothing to get us to bid high and laugh while we're doing it. He's the author of 6 books, 2 with BK. He spent over 35 years as a professional speaker teaching, entertaining, and inspiring audiences worldwide. And now the world of professional speaking is changing for all of us, and virtual deliveries are moving in. So rather than retreat, what Rob says is that we push forward. Virtual deliveries are here to stay, and so over the next hour, Rob will intend to help you speak like a pro virtually. So ladies and gentlemen, Rob Jolles.
Yay, hooray, hooray. Oh, the world of virtual delivery. It's deafening. Thank you, particularly when you're all muted. Anyway, welcome. First of all, a couple things, my housekeeping. Get a good look at the Jolles beard. I hope it didn't scare you. It will be gone pretty sure tomorrow. It leaves the face because Cinco de Mayo is a big day, as you all know, huge holiday, and Rob Jolles' birthday for those trivia nuts. So cutting it off on my birthday, drop a couple years. Yeah, you know, the lofty goals thing in careers, it's funny. Yep, I sure have a lot of stand-up experience, but when it comes to virtual, you know, it's the Wild West, and I'm coming at it hard and fast. I jumped in heavy and hard right near the end of the first week in March, did all the researching I could do, grabbed a couple of buddies who were TV anchors, one weatherman, one TV anchor, and got everything I could down on paper to help people, help me. And then I realized helping others to try and attack this virtual side of things. There are presentations. We'll tell you I had 6 over the last 2 weeks. They're there. You know, we just have to go at them and go at them right. I will tell you that you know, there's a few things I looked a lot and to see the differences, and you know, there are a few things that are similar, a few things that aren't. Well, the more I studied this world of virtual delivery, the more I realized there's a lot more similarities than you might imagine, and meaning there's a lot written that people want to do things dramatically different because it's virtual, and I'm telling you, with I guess about 12 presentations in total under my belt over the last month and a half or so, I don't think so. I don't think there's quite as many differences as you might imagine. So for instance, I'm used to the only person speaking, as are you, when you're giving a presentation. So let's take care of that right now. If you would, go ahead and put it on speaker's view. I think for the Zoom people, you know that's upper right. And look for my picture and pin me, meaning go to those 3 dots, hit pin video, and now I'm going to be up for the rest of the presentation in front of you. That way I won't get bumped off stage, which for those who know Rob Jolles will tell you that not a fan of being bumped off a stage. Okay, I'm used to standing when I give a presentation. Again, the virtual, well, you know, you'll need a nice comfortable chair. Wait a minute, how many of you do we wheel out for a presentation? And how many of you get out there and stand? And you know that gives you energy, and you know that gives the audience energy. So why would I be sitting? And I'm not going to be sitting. We'll talk about equipment and how to get you up maybe later in the presentation. I'm used to moving around in a pit. I think you guys are too. When we take our walk, we take our stroll. Well, I'll be taking a bit of a walk today. Not much of a walk, but I've created a miniature studio, a miniature pit in here, if you will. And I feel comfortable here. I'm used to actually starting with a cup of coffee. So here's to you all. I'm having my cup of coffee. I'm mentioning these things because I'm trying to figure out where the changes really are. I'm used to wearing a sport jacket when I give a presentation and taking the sport jacket off once I begin the presentation. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. My body and mind are thinking like a live presentation right now. I'm feeling it. I hope you are too. I guess the last thing is I'm used to people kind of finding me funny, when I speak. So I kind of miss that. Therefore, I plan on occasionally, if I say something funny, you may hear some laughter. Who knows? So we're gonna try and get some laughter in here, and I think that's kind of it. Lisa's going to be looking for your questions. But one other thing that I'm doing, and it seems to be working out real well. So I want to teach a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to model a few things. And one of them is with loss, there's gain. Look, we're not in front of the client anymore. We're in front of this thing. But we also don't have to go rushing out of town after a presentation, which means we're going to have a 30-minute roundtable, kind of a virtual roundtable at the end of this presentation. If 3 of you feel like staying, stick around. If 40 of you feel like staying, stick around. And I'll answer your questions if you want. We can unpin me and I'll take a look at your setup, whatever you'd like. But we now have the ability to add a little bit to our presentations, and I hope to model that for you too. Okay, so ask your questions, hit the chat line. At least you'll keep an eye on them. Do know I'm not leaving at the end of the presentation. We'll go for about 30 more minutes or as long as we're, everyone's still hanging around, and we'll go. So here's what we're going to do in this presentation. In 60 minutes or less. Actually, one other thing about virtual delivery, I keep saying it's 60 minutes. I have to break the habit of nailing the time frame. I'm going to try to, of course. But we all know, anybody who's watching this who speaks knows when the client says 60, they mean 60. They don't mean a minute and 5, an hour and 5, and they don't mean 55 minutes. They mean 60 minutes. Okay. Well, in the world of virtual, they're not usually running off to the next speaker. So I have found myself, as I stick my times, people going, it's okay. We can go a little bit longer, but I'll still aim for an hour. Okay, in that hour, we're going to talk about preparation, how you prepare for something like this. We're going to talk about creating the right environment to speak virtually. We're going to talk about your web camera and improving your eye contact. We're going to talk about using your hands and gestures effectively within this world of virtual. We're going to talk about specific set of communication tips, things that I'm noticing are different, the way we communicate, just slightly. So we'll go through those. We're going to talk about sustaining interest just for a minute or two, because another battle, a war is, we've got an audience now that's distracted just like you are by your emails and by different things, and the dog walked in and the lights, whatever it is. So we got to fight a little bit harder. We don't have them contained in the Marriott ballroom right now. So we're going to talk about sustaining interest. And at the end of the presentation, make sure you stick around. I'm looking at our numbers. Make sure you stick around, because at the end of the presentation, if you're still here, I will slide in an equipment sheet, just give you some recommendations, some thoughts that I have of kind of a budget setup and a little bit of a higher end setup. And I'll give you links and products, although I'm beginning to update that because a lot of my links, the products are being sold out, but we'll keep bouncing and finding. But you'll need to stay to the end to see that. Was that a Jolles trick? Well, could have been. Who knows? All right. So let's go right out of the gate. Let's get at preparation. Okay. One, I want you all, if you can, make sure you've got a strong internet connection. And I want to pause for a moment. Lisa, there's a handout for this presentation. Has that been sent to these participants?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Crystal can correct me.
Christelle, did you have a handout from me? Not a big deal, because the beauty of what we're doing, folks, is, maybe this was just a trick by Jolles, but the beauty is that we can go ahead and add handouts to the presentation. So we'll go ahead and put it on that chat bar if you don't have it. But I do have a handout. I do have a participant information because we want the participants to be able to share and see what we're doing. So if you don't see it yet, and we'll get it, what we'll do is we'll just mail it out to everybody. My point to you is, just like a real seminar, I'd appreciate it if you don't worry about grabbing all notes on everything. As professional speakers, shouldn't we take the notes for the audience so they can participate? So we've got your notes. Everything that I talk about will be on this handout, and we'll make sure we get that in there. Right now, as the co-host, unfortunately, I can't get it into your chat bar, but we'll work on getting that in before the hour's up.
Hey, Rob?
Yeah. Yes.
Rob, I've got an update on that. So we are, as folks know, we're recording this. We will have the recording and the handout available tomorrow on the website for all of you.
How beautiful is that? All right, that works for me. All right, but not the equipment sheet. You must stay till the end to get the equipment sheet, or no equipment for you. Now, let's continue with our fun presentation. Okay, one, internet connection strong, please. If you can go router to laptop or computer, real good. I don't want to get boastful and I don't want to jinx me, but I doubt you're going to see me shaking or grainy today because I'm not working off a Wi-Fi signal. I'm coming right from the router. So, and if I thought that once, and we will, we're all going to go outside again, we're all going to be able to look at each other and get closer than 6 feet. But virtual communication and deliveries aren't going anywhere. And oh, by the way, do you really want them to? I have spent 35 years trying to figure out how do I generate income, do what I love to do, and not be flying off to Fargo. No offense to the good people, but I just did a seminar for them last week, virtually. So that felt good as opposed to 4 flights, 2 up and 2 back. Get that connection strong. Have a piece of paper or document on screen ready to go so you can take notes. Try and keep objects out of your hand, just like a live presentation. We don't want to be walking around with markers. We don't want to be walking around with things in our hands. Everything out of the hands. Get rid of those types of distractions. I not only for you, but I tell my audiences, and I'm going to tell you now, please, you signed up for this. Give me a shot at winning you over today. One way you can help me is close your email. Just close it. Close it. I know when it's open. I have a special meter that no, I don't. I can't tell if your email is open. But I tell you what, emailing, even when you're presenting, it's like texting. We all hear a text. We promise we won't look at the phone. And then a part of our brain goes, sure, we can look. I just take a peek. I'm only going to look for a second. It's the same thing with an email. And what happens is you start giving a presentation and think you're going to take a quick look at an email. What you're going to do is you're going to give them, I need to come up with a name. We can name this syndrome contest, but something about sort of the dead eye syndrome, because we've all been talking to people who all of a sudden, while we're telling them something important, begin to kind of dead eye it. And we know they're hitting their emails. There's no doubt about it. So no texting and driving, no emailing and presenting, and ask your audiences kindly if they would turn that off, just like we have them turn their cell phones off. And I'd have you do that too. Turn those phones off. So in preparation, we've got a couple things we're getting going. Got it. Let's talk about our environment, okay? And I'm going to bring you into this presentation in a second. So pay attention here. Okay. Remember, one of our mantras, this is not a phone call, okay? You are on screen. So pick a nice location. No bedrooms, dark, dingy places. Look, I'm fortunate. I have, and we have a nice day today. Got a window that's actually, we don't want windows behind us, but this one's off to the side a little bit. Gives me a really nice light. I've got a nice brick wall. It's lit up from the top. Again, not everyone's going to be quite this fortunate, but do all you can to clear up that workspace. Remove the clutter from back there. Maybe you put in a backdrop. I am going to tell you right now that we all think that virtual backgrounds, I haven't seen it yet, and Lisa, you can stop me, but boy, right about now, somebody always hits the chat box with, what about virtual backgrounds? Yes, Zoom does have virtual backgrounds. Yes, we can play with them. Here, I'm on the beach. Hey, it's fun. Ooh, better not burn my head. But seriously, folks, the problem with virtual backgrounds is exactly what you're seeing. They're kind of dicey. You know, for some reason, it doesn't like my ears a whole lot. Cuts off my ears, does all kinds of weird stuff. At the end of the day, save the virtual backgrounds for your buddies, your friends, and your family. Have a ball with it. Create your own. But for our purposes, I'm going to recommend let's forget about the virtual backgrounds for now. I think they're going to be a distraction. If you're going to sit, maybe these are one-on-one conversations at times, at least pick a good chair, one that doesn't squeak, one that doesn't wiggle. Okay. All right. Now, I got a poll for you. So for those of you who have been vacuuming or cooking eggs, whatever you've been doing, snap out of it because you got to get to the screen. I'm buying you time. Get ready because I've got a poll for you. All right. And the poll is this. I want you to think about some of the biggest complaints that customers have. We've got a survey on that one. And I want you to look on your screen, okay? And you've got 4 choices. They sort of landed in 4 areas. Either poor Wi-Fi connection, bad lighting, distracting background, or weak audio. Take a look. Is that, Elise, is that poll showing up on yours?
Not yet.
Okay. So how about now?
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
See,
Perfect.
okay. So take a look at the poll. You got poor Wi-Fi, grainy, distracting, weak. Jump in. I'll even give you some poll music. There we go. And good luck. All right. Let's see. Looks like the poor Wi-Fi is taking the lead. The grainy is fighting its way through as well. Weak audio has decided to rear its ugly head. And there we go. Okay. So not bad. I'm going to end the poll. And here's what you're looking at. Okay. So you all came in with, it looks like poor Wi-Fi connection ended up as the clear loser or winner, followed by weak audio, bad lighting, and unfortunately, a distant last place was distracting backgrounds. Now here's a shocker for you. That's not what the poll said. The poll said the biggest complaint right now from customers who are dealing with vendors, not necessarily presenters, but people who are working with them on Zoom, virtually, on a WebEx, whatever it is, are complaining about the backgrounds. They're distracted by the backgrounds. So I want you to keep an eye on it. All right. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's talk about your lighting a little bit. All right. Again, windows are wonderful. A lot of us have windows behind us. For the world of webcams and virtual deliveries and online deliveries, it's going to give your camera some issues. So you want to keep that light, that window in front of you. Natural light is always the best if you can pull it off. If there is if you have some lamps, maybe put them in. Unfortunately for me, I've got a really nice light I really love right above my head here. And normally, until this happened, that was my go-to light. The problem is, particularly when I stand up, boom, kind of blows out the head up there. So I can't use that light. I'm using side lights, and I'll show you the lights I'm using a little bit later because I've stepped it up from lamps. I want to go a little bit better than that. I like LEDs if you can get them because you can dial up some warmth. Marilee, who I talk with frequently, has got a beautiful ring light. It's a very nice budget light that you can get. They won't break the bank and give you some real nice light. Again, you'll have to hang around for the equipment. Okay,
Rob,
so we've got, yes.
Rob, we got a couple questions. Let me just interrupt you for a quick second. So
let's go.
One set of questions comes from April. What kinds of virtual speaking engagements are you doing? For example, a small group of people or a big keynote, she finds expectations are quite different among different audiences. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I don't know about the expectations. The answer to April's question is I'm doing both. I will tell you and kind of hit this theme a lot that virtual delivery, timing for virtual delivery is about double for a live delivery, meaning 30 minutes of virtual feels like an hour of live. For you too. For the presenters, you'll wear yourself out a little bit. For the audience, you can wear them out a little bit. But to answer your question, I'm actually doing both. I prefer doing the 1 hour slots. I always preferred them when I could go on the road as well. For those of us who speak, they're a lot easier on the body. But the larger groups are workshops. That means smaller audiences, usually for me, anywhere between 12 and 20. And now I'm working breakout rooms. Now I'm doing some other things to pull them through that. I'm still with my clients who want to go a day long, recommending let's not go more than a half a day. We'll break it into pieces. I don't have to keep flying out there. So let's just do this every other, next Friday, the other half. I don't want to go 8 hours virtually. But I'm getting part of your answer, which is I'm doing both. I'm changing my tactics for the workshops because I have to do more role plays, more small group exercises. You have to master breakout rooms for those workshops, if for nothing else, just to move them around and turn them around and get them to stop looking at you. But for a regular 1 hour keynote, nah, I can pretty much talk the whole time and do what I'm about to do, which is just keep dropping slides in now and then. April, I want to stay on this just for a second longer, and hopefully I got most of your answer there for all of you, because it's moving me into an area that isn't in your handout. One other thing I learned is the hard way is I used to be a guy who depended very heavily on PowerPoint or keynote slides. Well, that's because it's behind us when we speak. So we're in front of it. We can talk. We all know that we're using those slides as our notes. The moment I share my screen and put that PowerPoint up there, that's the end of me. I'm relegated to the corner, and I'm the size of a quarter. So I've actually lost control of the group. For both keynote and a workshop, you're going to have to come a lot. I'm going to have to come off PowerPoint and come straight to the mic with these things. Good news, last thing I'll say is this, is that we have this thing called a teleprompter. I mean, your screen, which you can roll and kind of keep an eye on things as you're going. So if you're one that's looking for a note or two, we can find it there. April, can you hit the chat box? Let me know if I answered your question or if there was a second part of it I need to adjust real quick. And there's a pause in the virtual world. These things can be devastating. April? April. All right. What was the other question? We'll let April come in a minute.
April said, let's keep going. Thanks.
Okay,
and
good.
Kay, you have your hand raised, so I'm just hitting allow you to talk. If you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, we'd love to hear from you.
And after we take this question, because you're going to be unmuted, hold them and hang around, and because you can see that some of the questions are not 5-second answers, and I want to get every one of them, but I want to get the material in as well. So go ahead, give me that question, Kay, and then let's roll.
She says she accidentally hit her hand raised. So
yeah, that's a great question. When you accidentally hit that, you just want to not really. All right. Thank you, Kay, for that momentary break. Okay, so let's go. Let's talk about webcam positioning, all right? Look the webcam in the eye, folks, which means this isn't the eye, not the screen, the webcam. You probably learned that the hard way at this point. But keep an eye out. Keep that head up. What I've been actually experimenting with, and you may see me do it from time to time today is, and I'm just experimenting, is I never look straight ahead of the room. I look this way at a room, and then I look this way at a room. And then sometimes I come straight ahead, and when I want to go right to my audience, I'll go right to the audience. But I think we can actually kind of move it around a little bit and give that feeling, particularly of a keynote, give that feeling of large audience. Folks, as I said, it's the Wild West. I'm experimenting with that to see if people kind of lose track of the fact that I'm really looking off into space and maybe feel as if I'm working the room. Okay, number 2, keep documents centered on the screen. If you do have documents on your screen, you don't want to pull them to the side. I actually don't really look at the camera, at you all. Not that I don't love you all, but I'm actually got my notes right where you all are. If I pull them to the side, what you're going to catch me doing is going like this, trying to catch my notes, particularly if I decide to, make a weird face while I'm doing it. But so center them up, keep them on the screen. Elevate the webcam to eye level. That's what I'm trying to do. Boy, can't tell you how many high-level CEOs I'm working with right now. And I tell them, let's Zoom, let's see how you're doing. It's I know the nostrils of half the CEOs in America right now because I'm looking straight up those noses. And I don't want you to do that. Get that camera, get that laptop up straight. We want them to forget that we're working virtually and feel like we're in the room with them. Okay. By the way, that will also help your posture a little bit if you bring that camera up, and everybody needs a little posture help. Sit with a good distance or stand with a good distance away. I'm not trying to crowd the camera, although I will come in from time to time. I'm not trying to crowd the camera. I think we can move, as I said, a little bit around. If you are going to sit like a TV anchor. And a TV anchor, as they tell me, they're taught to sit in the front half of the chair. So they're kind of pushed forward a little bit. So sit in the front half of the chair. Maybe lean in when you're making a point, and perhaps lean back when they're making a point. But use that body language. I think that leaning back will give you a nice subtle move to listening. Now, all those tips aside, let's try something, okay? I'm going to share my screen again. I want you to look at this right here and get ready on your chat boxes. And I'm going to take you back to like when you were in the dentist's office. Remember what's wrong with this picture? Well, I'm a positive person, so we'll start with perhaps what's right with this picture, okay? So what is right with the picture? If you would in your chat line, and Lisa, you go ahead and read them to me. Tell me what you think this young fella is doing right.
Right.
Here we go. I'm
person
seeing
is
it blink.
centered.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing that the person is centered.
Okay.
The position is centered. Yeah.
Okay.
What else are folks doing right? He's looking off, which makes me wonder what he's looking at.
Yeah, that might be what's wrong with this picture, but good, nice observation.
There's a clean background. The person has a good height. His face is in the top third of the picture. He's thinking. Yeah.
Okay. I do. I think the background's good. I like he's centered up.
Yep. He's sitting up straight, says somebody else.
Good. Good. All right. Now let's open the floodgates. What's wrong with the picture? What would you suggest that he do differently?
So Jake says, if you like clutter, he's doing a great job.
Okay.
Remove distractions, says Randy.
Uh-huh. Now remember, you think that camera can see those distractions? Keep reading.
Put down the pen.
Ah, you got the object. Very good. That one gets 5 people. I'm going to take a couple points off for his hair because I think it's unruly and I don't like guys with hair like that. But that's just me. My apologies. All right, let me see what we got. Cameras. Oh, I'll tell you one that I'm looking for from you all, Lisa, if you see it on there. The camera. From where that is, I'm going to tell you that's nostril cam. That's going to be coming up the face there a little bit. I'd love for him to have a couple of books or something to put that laptop on and bring it up a little bit. Okay. Yeah. You know what? If we get him both ways here. If he's off thinking, it's a good nonverbal cue. If he, at the same time, I'm wondering where he's looking and if that's potentially distracting. And last thing, the lighting. Not a big fan of that light. I mean, again, good news is our young gentleman here has decided that lighting is important. Bad news is it appears that only for the pencils is this important. So I would probably suggest that we fix that up a little bit. I probably have to push it back or he's going to get flooded out. But okay, good. We got it. We got a couple of things there. Nice job. Let's keep pushing forward. Okay. How about yeah? Let's go to hand gestures. Okay. In terms of your hand gestures. Obviously we all gesture, but you got to remember something. Your hands are probably going to be a little bit, your body's cut off a little bit. So normally when you take the stage, we see those low moves you're making. They won't see them here. So we got to bring our hands up a little bit. Just kind of a note to self. This might be a Post-it. You're going to find I'm a Post-it guy. you might just want to put a post-it up there, raise hands, because a lot of times if I'm gesturing right now, you can't see it. So I need to get them up a little bit, okay? I think we can use them actually so much better than a phone call, because now when we talk about three things, we can talk about three things. Now, when we have a big idea, we can talk about a big idea. So our hands really can come and play. We just got to raise them a little bit. Try not to point at the webcam, which will be the over-under for Rob in any presentations, about 2.5. I have a terrible time not pointing, but I will tell you, there are people in this world who do not like to be pointed at. And so when you start pointing at the camera, you can antagonize that unusual part of the population. So let's not point. And let's see, well, watch your body language. So again, you're on screen. So if somebody's telling you something you don't like, I don't know if I'd be folding those arms up a whole lot. You know, there's people that are a lot more schooled and at nonverbal communication than I am. But this one to me means one of two things. One, you're shutting down and something I'm saying is not agreeing with you, or two, that you're cold. And but I would be careful if you like to run it cold in your room, heat it up or put on a sweater. But you don't really want to be offering this gesture and telling people I'm open to your ideas. So watch the folding arms. Let's keep going. How about clothing? You know, for Rob Jolles to give clothing advice, that's a real good one. See, every now and then I can't quiet the crowd. Please, folks, please. I'm begging you. I do know a few things about clothing, however. I want you to dress as if you're there in person, okay? Right there in front of that crowd. So, yeah, I get it. We're home. We've been home. We've got, what is it, home fatigue or whatever. The fatigue factor's kicked in. But I will tell you, the presentations I've been given, I've been getting a good presentation buzz. But it's been feeling good. So, but dress like a presentation. And that means, before we hit the chat box with how should we dress, just like you used to, you find out what that company's culture is. And if a normal meeting is usually kind of a business casual or something along that line, bingo, business casual, just a nudge up. I'm trying to be at or slightly above, not it took me a while as a, ex-Xerox guy to get out of the suit and the white shirt. But look, I'm in a black shirt. But anyway, yeah, we can, we just pay attention to it. Solid colors on the camera are the best. I do have, if you've seen my latest book, but if you see it, you're going to see a striped shirt. I'm only telling you about it because I love that striped shirt. That's my lucky shirt. I wear that when I give presentations. It doesn't go well on with a webcam. Stripes not so good. So no floral patterns, no stripes, no silk, no satin. The reflections, sometimes they make some noise on you. So let's keep an eye out for that. Now, I can't remember who sent this to me, but I will tell you that I did get a nice little video that I thought was kind of clever on clothing. So, and show you that, of course, we can show, let me do that again. Came off my share. We can show video through the system. So would you all be careful? I haven't blown you out already. The sound may be up a little bit from my voice. Video goes higher. So just so you don't get hit, keep an eye on your volume and take a look at this quick clip. I thought it was kind of funny. Hang on. There we go. Right here. Take a look.
But even though you're working from home, it is essential to retain some standards of sartorial elegance. And with that in mind, I've invented the Zoom suit. With a little practice, in less than 10 seconds, you'll be able to jump off the sofa, put down your beer, turn off the TV, and jump into the Zoom suit for those all-important meetings. There we go. Oops, almost forgot the hat. This is a prototype version with a single Velcro fastener at the back and a separate cuff in case you need to use your hands at any time during the meeting. Of course, you can continue to drink beer as long as you first pour it into a bone china cup, and don't forget to raise the pinky.
Yeah, don't forget the pinky. Um, okay, so well, personally, I found that one funny. But just dress appropriately. Dress appropriately. That's what we're after. Okay, couple of conversation tips. We're coming down the home stretch now. Okay, uh, first of all, again, I mentioned earlier that I don't want to draw massive differences. I want to pretend you're here. That helps me a little bit. I do want to move all of that. But when I'm having a conversation, I want to be careful because the camera's right up on us. And so, one, smile. Don't forget, and this is where the old rule in training, I think you probably heard, is when you emphasize everything, you emphasize nothing. So don't litter your screen with Post-its, but one Post-it, if you struggle with smiling, for instance, or if you struggle with that marker in your hand, make a Post-it that just says marker or smile. And every time you go to that light, you're going to see it, okay? Every time you go to that light, you're going to see it. So it's a really nice way of kind of getting past those things that people go, but I always struggle with that. Well, why? Not anymore. You've got your own monitor right in front of you, your own teleprompter. Number two, less is better when it comes to notes. I think we've all learned that as presenters. But the reason why I'm mentioning is this. Because of the teleprompter, because of this screen, there'll be a temptation, an instinct, if you will, to start putting a few more notes down. Why not? Since when was the last time you were able to look into a teleprompter and give a presentation? The problem is, one, don't forget you're coming down to get those notes. Two, don't forget that every time in your career when you wrote too many notes, you ran into the same problem. And that problem was you couldn't find anything because you had too many notes. So if this is a newer presentation and I've had to convert my presentations, as you will, to virtual, and save that for a Q&A, and we'll talk about specific moves that I've tried to change that hopefully were subtle, but that I've done to try and make it a little more virtual. We'll talk about it, but I'm still going with pretty much a word outline, 1 or 2 words, all you need. Tell that story. Don't forget this, share screen now, show video, set up ending, whatever it is, short, sweet, catch it, move, stick and move. Okay. Consider having a cup of coffee. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but yes, we mentioned it before. This is almost a prop to me. Now, does Rob Jolles really like coffee? Well, one will never know. Pinky. But I will tell you this. Yes, I like coffee, but not all that much. I like coffee before a presentation. Unlike most people, it actually calms me down. I know that's unusual, but I do. I like a cup of coffee. It sort of relaxes me. So again, when I put on my shirt, when I get myself ready, when I have my cup of coffee, that tells my body, the adrenaline starts flowing. It's going to be go time soon. And you know what it tells the client? Just like I'm there. Let's have a cup of coffee and we'll give that presentation. I have a lot of meetings when I'm selling training now of love to talk to you about it. Why don't we grab a cup of coffee? I'll set up a Zoom link. But I want that coffee. I want that. I can't get face-to-face with my clients, but I'm not happy with this thing. So I like this. I like that coffee. Consider that. And if you're not a coffee drinker, have yourself a cup of tea. 5 minutes early is on time. I did notice that we had some people came in right on time today. Well, it's a webinar. You can show up late. But I will tell you that certainly when you're presenting, we were talking about 10 minutes early, and I kind of whined and begged and said, couldn't we meet 15 minutes early? When I'm not hosting today, I'm co-hosting. There's a couple moves, Zoom, a little clunky. You already saw one with the polling. Little clunky moves there that I'm not used to. When I'm in control, I know exactly how it works. So those 15 minutes also just make sure everything is on track. So 5 minutes early is still on time, if not more. If you're presenting, make it 10. And for those of you who did come in early, I may have blasted your ears out, but you notice, just like a live presentation, I like that countdown timer. I like music before a presentation. Puts my audience in a good mood. Let's go for it. Okay. Watch what I call your communication shot clock. Now, I have this theory. We as a culture like things to be moving. We're used to that live too. And we know, get moving. We got to just we race across that stage. There's certain moves we make, keep things moving. Virtual, as I mentioned, 20 minutes feels like 40, 40 feels like 80. We got to watch our timing of our stories, of how long we go. So here, I'll jump into a story, see how fast I can do it. If you follow basketball, you know that there's a shot clock. It's 24 seconds. Keeps the game moving. If you watch football, there's a play clock. It's 35 seconds. Keeps the game moving. Baseball doesn't have one yet, but for some reason they seem to be losing fans. They're talking about it. Keep the game moving. Why aren't we doing that? We gotta have our own communication shot clock. I tell you that story because I want you to think about the stories you're telling and remind yourself that you're up against a lot of things on that other screen. Get that story moving. Keep it good. 45 seconds is my rule of thumb. If you feel like a minute and 15, go for it. But I won't go a whole lot longer. Okay? All right. Now, one last thing we'll kind of begin to turn for home. And I'm going to go back to the screen for this one. I want you to take a look at yet another video. And I want you to take a look at this. This is one of my favorite videos because I love to see the comments. The comments on this video are fun. It's a boss, it's a FedEx commercial, and I'm a big fan of FedEx. They used to have wonderful commercials, and this one is actually called The Stolen Idea. And in The Stolen Idea, you'll see that if you go to YouTube and see it, people hate the boss. It's like they forget that this is just a video, but what a rotten boss, horrible boss, he stole an idea. I want to tell you, I think there's something else going on here. And I think it's really important for our conversation of virtual deliveries. So watch this video and see what the other message is in here.
We have got to cut costs, people. Ideas.
We could open an account on FedEx.com, save 10% on online express shipping.
Okay, how about this? We open an account on FedEx.com, we save 10% on online express shipping.
That is wonderful. You just said the same thing I said, only you did this.
No, I did this.
Makes all the difference.
Bingo.
That's good.
Right on the nose.
Yeah, that's really good. Real sad.
All right. Like I say, I'm a fan of that commercial. And, you know, some of you who are on this broadcast today probably never met me. But for those of you who have, I think, you know, I'm clunky in certain ways. You know, I'm not, I don't fit in with the introverts as well as I'm supposed to be. I'm not that deep. I keep telling you, not that deep. But one thing I do genetically have is a wee bit of energy. And I appreciate that commercial because I think there's an argument to be made about this. And I know that when you're going live, you've got your way. But I'm telling you, get on your horse, folks. It's virtual time. We got to do the little things. Yeah, this matters. I look at that commercial and I'm annoyed at the individual who brought an idea to the table this way, blah, blah, with no energy, no passion, nothing. And the other person, yeah, he took the idea, but he did put some energy behind it. He did put some passion behind it. And I want to do a pause right now and tell you, when you look at the whole presentation that we're talking about today, that I'm trying to not just teach you, but model while I'm doing it, I want you to realize that it is the little things, that things like this, you know, learning to do this might make you 8% better. Okay, getting a good web camera, getting your lighting right, 2 percentage points I'm giving for your lighting. Oh, you got rid of the clutter, 3 percentage points more. Doesn't sound like much. But this isn't one idea we're talking about. This is a lot of ideas. And so they begin to bundle together. And all of a sudden, when you add gestures, clothing, when we add getting the camera where it needs to be, when we add getting ourselves the ability to move, when we get good audio, good sound, when we get a good signal, when we start talking about learning to do this, we're not talking about 3% anymore. We're talking about much higher percentages. And quite frankly, I look at presenting like golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I learned to play by, I think, the right way. I love playing with people. I want you to do the best you can. I'm only focused on my golf ball. I'm not focused on yours. I don't really care what's going on around me. I know one thing. When I show up to play golf, I'm going to play the best I possibly can, focusing on my game, my delivery, what I'm doing. Letting the others, they play beautifully, good for them. I'll shake their hand. But these are things that we can do to improve our game, and we need to pay attention to them. So when you see a video like that, what you're hearing from me is I kind of break it down 3 ways. I think I call it the 3 Ps. And now I'm dipping into this Jolles book, Why People Don't Believe You, which is interesting. I will tell you, I wanted to call it's the words, not the tune. But as we all know at BK, rarely do our titles get through. But thanks to the good folks at BK, they gave me a great title. Unfortunately, I can't recommend my book to anyone because when I do and I say, oh, I got the perfect book for you. What's it called? Well, Why People Don't Believe You, which never seems to make people feel great. But yes, this is from Why People Don't Believe You. And what I tried to do when I look at this is say, we got to learn the music of that. Can't just say, do that. We got to work on our pitch, which means we go up and we go down. We're not staying flat. We got to work on our pace. I call them the 3 Ps: pitch, pace, which means sometimes, as you know, we're going to speed up and really deliver that message. And other times we're going to slow it down to make a point. And then one of my favorites, which takes nerve. You gotta have the nerve for it. That's the pause. Yeah. Pauses don't work on the phone. You ask me a question and here, you're going to think, you're still there, Rob? But you ask me a question or I make a point and I want to take a pause and I'm looking at you going like this. Boom. Now we're delivering something, particularly when we get a question. I like pausing when I get a question. You may get a deep question from an individual. Don't run through the stop sign. We all know as presenters that time moves very quickly up there on stage. How many times have you ever seen a presenter go, any questions? Great, let's continue. To them, honestly, it felt like they waited 5 seconds. To us, we could barely swallow our coffee. No, we got to slow it down just a little bit. That's okay. You're on screen, they'll see you. So if somebody says, I've been struggling here and here, don't run through that stop sign. Give them something. So pitch, we'll move it up, we'll move it down. Pace, we'll speed it up, we'll slow it down. And pause. Yeah. We'll pause. Powerful. That's going to help us with this. And now that the toughest part is, how do you teach somebody to do that? You know, we can almost write it out musically. Believe it or not, when I help people, and I volunteer to help people in career transition, a lot of times they struggle with this. Just terrible. They can't hear the pitch or the pace or the pause. It's almost like music. They can't hear the notes. That doesn't mean they can't be taught. Sometimes I'll take their corny elevator pitches and things like that and mark them up. Well, we can't mark up our presentations that way. Go up, go down here. But what we can do, and I think this is the secret sauce, what we can do is we can get into character, just like an actor. I don't know how many of you have ever done any acting. I know it always shocks people to hear that I did a little acting in my 20s. Actually, the last time I had a beard was when I was in my 20s. I played Perchik in Fiddler on the Roof. Only it was black then, but it was a good look. No, it was a beard. Point to you is, I had a couple good directors, but one of them was a maniac about getting into character. I didn't understand it. The first show I was ever in was Damn Yankees. Didn't understand it, but he got us into character. And what he did was, I played an old man. I played the manager of the Washington Senators. I loved the role, but I was in 11th grade. But he was asking me what I ate for breakfast. What did my character, what kind of car did you drive? What kind of house did he live in? Just kept hammering me. And at first it was annoying, and then I could answer the questions because I began to think like that character. We got to get into character, and when we do, we'll deliver. We'll find that pitch, pace, pause. Okay, 11 minutes to go. Let's keep rolling. Next, don't just tell a story, land it. And what I mean by that is, again, with virtual deliveries, people are getting distracted. You might have gotten distracted in that last story. I think I went past my shot clock. The fact is, a lot of times we don't know where that audience is going. When we listen there's a term that's used rather lightly, but it's called leapfrogging. A lot of times what people do, if you have never heard of leapfrogging, is because we can listen at about we speak at about 135 words a minute and can listen at over 300 words a minute, we leapfrog. We get the gist of where the speaker's going, and then we begin to leapfrog. Then we come back, he's still on with his hand, and we leapfrog. So audiences will leapfrog all the time when you're live. You can bet your boots they're going to be leapfrogging while you're speaking virtually. So A, we're going to shorten those stories up. But B, we're going to land them. And when we land the story, what we're going to do is, I recommend strongly, is pull it all together at the end. So watch the landing of that last story. I left it out. I want you to hear it now. It was a decent story. But what if I told it this way? What if I said, and so he really taught me how to not just play a character, but be that character. And I tell you that story because it's really important for you to get into character, to find that pitch and pace and pause. That's my way of pulling you back into the presentation a little bit. Again, don't know where you are. Now I've landed. I didn't just tell a story, I've landed it. All right, let's keep going. Listen carefully. And again, remember you're on screen. So even if there's distractions, just remember this isn't a phone. Try and keep an eye on that screen. Listening is very important. I actually have a second poll for you. A second one. Okay. And let's see if we can pull that second poll off. So with the second poll, there it is. Okay. I'm going to, the poll was, and it was done by a guy named Lou Hampton. Okay. And Lou Hampton did tried to figure out what annoys people the most about listening. And so what he tried to do is figure out what were the most annoying listening habits that we want to avoid. You can see them on your screen, looking at me constantly, asking questions, which I just gave the answer, interrupting me, fidgeting. Go ahead and hit your screens now and jump on this poll and see how you do. All right, let's go. There we go. Good. Not bad. Okay. All right. A lot of looking away going on. All right. Let's see. I'm getting ready to end the poll now. And it is a virtual dead heat. All right. I'm ending it. And I'm going to share it with you. There you go. So you can see we came in at a dead heat between looking away constantly, as if being distracted. That's why we want to keep our notes lined up. That's why we don't want our email open. And the other one that came up was interrupting me when I'm speaking. Dead heat. Well, good news is I didn't fool you on this poll. I fooled you a little bit because, yeah, you got the right answer. But I want to tell you the right answer, and there's a top 10. The other 9 answers collectively, together, did not equal the number of votes that the number 1 answer got. And what was that number answer? Interrupting me when I'm speaking. The clear-cut loser, ladies and gentlemen. That's the one that really annoys people. And we got to keep our eye on it. So the key here is, yeah, we're going to do pitch, pace, pause. We're going to land those stories. We're going to get into character, but be very careful, okay? Don't interrupt them while they're talking. Okay, let's push forward. Coming down the home stretch, got about 7-8 minutes left with you, and then you'll get your equipment list. Way to hang in there. All right, sustaining interest. Look, there's a lot of moves we can make, but I just thought I'd sort of stick with the technology a little bit. Use your opportunities to share your screen, which I try and do. Use opportunities to share documents, which I tried to do, but my hosting on this side won't let me. But like I said, we'll have that to you tomorrow. But I like to intentionally hold documents, as you could tell. I'll give them at the beginning of a presentation. Again, I'm looking at you all. How many of you, if you have a handout and you're blowing into a town, how many of you want that handout in front of that audience 2 days before your presentation, a day before your presentation, an hour before your presentation? I don't want that handout in their hand. I want it in right at the beginning of the presentation, okay? And some of you may even hold it to the end of the presentation. That works for me too. So I'm not a big mail out handout in advance. let's share it, put it in that document panel. If you're hosting, not co-hosting, if you're hosting on Zoom, no problem. Okay, try and incorporate visual aids. Yeah, PowerPoint, but as I told you, we can only use so much of it. So if not PowerPoint, might be an object, might want to show them something. There are, you know, video. You notice I go to video. You notice I use a little music before you come in. When I do my webinar, when I do my workshop, I have breaks I'm giving them with a countdown timer and music to it. So I do like to kind of vary up my pitches a little bit. And also use nonverbal cues. Can you go to your chat box? It's my last question for you. Can you hit the chat box and just answer this question? What would be some examples of some nonverbal cues you can use in this virtual format? Chat now. And I'm going to take a peek at them myself, see if I can see some of them. Smiling. I'm agreeing with you. Putting a gun into your head. Well, that's nice, Jake. Good work there. Wait a minute. Put a gun to your head. There. See, Jake, you earned some laughter. Eyebrows. Yes. Nodding affirmatively. Facial expressions. Huge on facial expressions. There's been some really interesting studies on facial expressions in terms of not what we say, but how we say it, whether we're believed. And facial expressions, I mean, there's the words, there's the nonverbal cues, which is hands, etc. But they separated facial expressions out, and it became, it was 55% of the emotional impact came from your face. So yeah, getting closer and pulling back. Yes, good. Use a finger to count off. I like it. Yep. Thumbs up, clapping, beautiful. All right, good job. Use them all, okay? Use them all. Good. Eye movement, yes, good. Okay. But I will tell you this, when all else fails, just remember this, the great equalizers. Just like this presentation, I don't think I bowled a 300. First of all, I've never bowled a 300. But when I say a 300 in a presentation, I mean the perfect presentation. I'm only at it for close to 40 years. Never had the perfect one. Never will. I don't even know if people would enjoy a perfect presentation. It would be, I don't know how they would identify with it. But things will happen. We're at the mercy of technology now. That's fine. But just remember something. You've got what I call the great equalizers. I'm going to get corny on you for a second, but I'm going to tell you. Energy and enthusiasm. Those are the great equalizers. You show up with energy and enthusiasm. And believe me, I've had auctions at BK go in a different direction, but you never caught me without energy and enthusiasm. You never will. I actually pin this on before every presentation, that little lightning bolt. And I was putting a lightning bolt on when I was 22 years old. That was my way of just reminding myself, energy and enthusiasm, show up. You'll be fine. That's what audiences want, even virtually. So down the home stretch, we're finishing up. In terms of your equipment, look, if you have existing equipment, that's fine. Laptop's going to work. You got a built-in mic, webcam, natural light, maybe a lamp or two. But if you're going to step it up a little bit, and I hope you do, I'm going to show you just a couple budget moves here. So right here, and like I said, some of my cameras are out now, but I do think that Logitech is really a safe play. And they've got a few different kinds. I clearly would go with the high def camera. They're in, they're out. People are scalping them for way too much money, but just find yourself a good webcam. You'll be glad you did. Lighting, yeah, that's a $39 light. Collectively, everything you're going to see on the screen is $150. So this is the budget side, okay? You can get a headset with your own microphone that give you a little bit of privacy. And I like this little item. If you're using a laptop, you can crank it up on that thing. Just get you out of nostril cam a little bit. If you want to go higher end, well, webcam, that's the one I have. And that's a high def. It's not in stock. You can kind of find it, kind of can't. But right before this presentation, I was hunting down Logitech cameras. They're all good. And that was 99. Now it's 79. They're jockeying for position, but I think you can do a webcam for $100, get a really good one. Why not? lighting. These are the lights that I have. I really like them. They actually clip to my desk. As I said, top of my head is not a very friendly space to be. So I've got this on the handout for you of where you can find these lights, but they're nice. They work in tandem. You dial, I have a piece that I can use remotely, brings them together down. I can change the warmth and I can change the brightness. Right now you're looking on me at about, I think it's 12% brightness. So clearly I've got more in the tank on that one. Mics are fine. I'm a fan of the Yeti mic. I just think it's a good mic. There are a couple different kinds. That one I'm showing you is a $99 Yeti. One of the unique aspects of a Yeti is it's got an audio jack out of the mic, which is unusual. So a lot of times you'll see me, I'll just put on my earbuds. Again, I don't do well with a big clunky thing on my head. Not the roundest head I was gifted with. So you put helmets and clunky things on, I tend to look a little bit like Stan Laurel. So not a good look. Anyway, I like earbuds, much more comfortable. You'll probably need an arm for that. So I've got that on our handout as well. And, you know, look, it's good for exercise. Maybe a sit-stand desk if you have one. If not, Veridesk is the leader in the industry, about $325. That's a Winston. That's what I have right now. I kind of like it. And if you want to see what my office looks like, that's what I'm looking at right now. So those are the two side panels. You can see the mic that comes up and down with me. So I can move that around and swing it around a little bit. And, you know, it works for me. So last thing, and we'll wrap up. All right. One last consideration. I want to ask you again. What was the #1 complaint customers were having meeting with vendors, with people on virtual deliveries? Go ahead and hit that chat box. Lisa, read them to me. As soon as I hear the first one that's right, I'm moving on. Good job, everybody. Come on, get to those. There we go. Somebody's coming in.
Too impersonal. They're too impersonal, was what Randy said.
Okay.
Backdrop.
Complaint.
Backdrop.
Backdrop. Stop the clock. Stop the clock. Backdrop. Yeah. It is going to be impersonal. You know, whenever there's a technology change, I'm assuming I'm speaking to people that, you know, we used to use overhead projectors. Yes, we did. Then we got really fancy and used 35mm slides. Oh, yes, we did. Then we went to PowerPoint and it wasn't really cooperating at first either. And then it did. This is just another technology change. But the #1 complaint people are having is the backdrop, the backdrop. Now, I was boasting about my window, etc. Yeah, here's my window, folks. Okay, this is the big reveal. This is just something that's hanging. I have a window right behind there that would wreak havoc with me. So we can do this. We can clean up our area, get up, get moving, get a good backdrop going. You don't have to get these lights. You can try. They're on order, but we can do this. So the intro took a couple minutes. That's why I took a couple bonus minutes. That, by the way, is the other angle of my office, and you can see that's my handy, beautiful screen that's hanging around there. Any case, I'm gonna wrap up. Like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I want to stay, answer questions, many as I can get to. Be happy to take a look at anybody's virtual setup if they'd like. But I want to thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me give this presentation. I like the ring work, like a boxer. We all need ring work. So, really, it's not hard to find a number that I'll speak at right now because I want to get better and better at it. My only suggestion is, if at all possible, when you give a webinar of any kind, you be the host. You'll be in control of things just a little bit better, and it's easier. Doesn't always work that way. I've got big clients, not just BK, that there are too many people coming in for the webinar. They want to use their system. But whenever possible, share your link. Okay, that's it. I'm coming off screen, and I'm going to stop my share. And thank you so much for listening. Let's go to the after webinar. Go.
Okay, well, before we do that, I want to just take a minute to thank you and to announce that on Tuesday, May 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern is our next webinar, which is how to make amazing videos to reach your audience with Bob Miglani. With that, I know Janice has her hand raised, and there's a few other questions that have come in. So Janice, you are unmuted and go ahead and ask Rob your question.
You can even show me that video if you want. You can unpin me. I'm not hung up on myself anymore. So unpin if you'd like, and I'd love to hear these questions. Let's go.
Janice, did you have a question? No, no questions from Janice. Okay, so here's some other questions that came in. One was, what do you do with the 15 minutes? What do you do with your 15 minutes ahead of time? When you log in 15 minutes.
Oh, it's easy. Relatively nothing, but here's what I do with it. I get calm. I get relaxed. Just think about this. How many times have you given yourself, the speakers bureaus, it's a requirement in our contracts. We be there an hour early, right? An hour early. We're there a day early. And oh, by the way, most of us are there at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. to get first shot at the AV crew. But why are we there an hour early? Because if there's something big in the way, we've got time to troubleshoot it. And if there isn't, we got time to really clear our heads. I wrote an article about this once, for me at least. I see myself like a racehorse. I don't like the word nervous. I am not nervous, but I'm anxious. I'm anxious to run that race. Getting there 15 minutes early, make sure we got time to troubleshoot. We got everything fixed up. Now we can take a nice walk around the paddock a little bit and get ready to run our race. So we gave it 15 today, we needed a minute and a half, okay? But I tell you, the presentation gods, if I rolled in 4 minutes before that presentation, I'm telling you, we would have had holes all over the place because that's the way it works. So that's what I'm doing. Go ahead.
Sure, perfect. Okay, one of the folks said they know you don't like headsets, but the professor needs to teach online weekends and needs hands-free. So what headset do you recommend if you have to use a handset?
Well, first of all, hands-free. If you step up to a Yeti, and Rob Jolles does not have stock in the company or anything, if you step up to a Yeti, now you're running earbuds out of the Yeti. So you don't have anything on you. You're a little bit cleaner. But I want to answer your question. On the handout that is mysteriously floating around, the equipment, I actually did look at a couple of headsets that were, and all I did was I like to go to YouTube. I like to see top 10 for 2020, where the polls are showing us. So I grabbed one of the highest rated. It's about a $35 headset with an audio piece in there. And that will all be, that will all be out there. If you give me a minute, what I'll do is I'm going to email it to Christelle, and maybe Christelle, you can put it in the chat area because I can't do it. Okay, it's not working on this side. But while I'm doing that, give me another question.
Rob, you're actually Rob, you're
Yeah.
actually the host, so you should be able to put it in.
It's not giving me a file area on this side, so I'm sending it to you. Okay, no worries.
What is the best way for you to promote webinars on social media?
That's a really good question. Now, I'm not a social media expert, so I don't want to leave my lane. But can I just talk about promoting and getting busy? Because I've actually never been more busy right now. One of the things one of the things we have to do is we got to drop our prices a little bit. Just the fact of the matter. That's okay. We can, a lot of times I'm a guy who usually averages a presentation a week. I can do 4 a day if I'm really hustling. So I don't mind dropping it a little bit. But I think what my suggestion would be is give your clients a taste. Right now, they think they're going to see nostril cam with you sitting down because that's what their presentations look like. Give them a taste of what a pro looks like and remind them. I'm going to warn you right now, because when I came out of the gate, I went right after Toyota. I went after a couple big companies. And the first knee-jerk reaction, which made me smile, was, we don't need any help with our deliveries to our clients. We've been using this for the last 3 years. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. For your internal meetings, you knuckleheads, they use them internally. They're sitting there, on their beds and they're, in their pajamas. We got to step it up. So I don't, for me, in terms of social media, I write something called a blarticle. I'll push my stuff out there a little bit because I got a nice following. I'm a LinkedIn guy, but we've got some BK people that are really, that I listen to about Twitter. Not a big fan. I do it. Pinterest, all that. So I want to stay in my lane. I use my blog, but I've been writing it for 11 years. So I built a following, and I use LinkedIn because, again, I got a lot of readers on there. And then I let the companies that I'm working with hit their social media channels. I do too, but I'm not doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Sorry, I can't give you a better answer on that one.
No worries
Next.
at all. Where do you position your notes? Maya wants to know, where do you position your notes so you don't look away from the camera?
Got it. Hiya, Maya. Yeah, I'm positioning them right over the screen, basically. So that's what I mean in terms of it takes a little bit of experience or practice to realize that I never have really the Zoom camera on at all. I mean, visual to me on. It's right where, if you've got me pinned right now, my notes are right over that head, right in the center. And I bring the font up to about an 18. So it's nice and wide to give yourself about a 150% view angle, and keep it down to 2 and 3 words. I also will tell you that I have a color code system of I go green in a box when I'm going to go share screen. When anything is happening that requires a logistical move, I want something to jump out at me to remind me, give me a little head start. That's how I'm doing it. Okay.
Beautiful. And what is the, 2 questions really about your tech. What is the teleprompter you refer to, and how do you get the laugh track?
Okay. Teleprompter first. The teleprompter, I don't. I'm actually just playing with the words. When, a teleprompter normally lets you look right through the camera lens and read a scroll. Well, we don't have that. But an inch below, I have my Word doc that you can't see my hand. It's right here. You can't see my hand, but it's moving. I can scroll it up and down while I'm talking to you. So I'm just playing fast and loose with the language, Randy. I'm good on just a Word doc and just rolling it. Now, the laugh. I've been busting my tail trying to get this thing right, and I'm still not there, but I'm getting closer. I actually, it's an app on an iPad, and I've got it. I've got a button about this big right here. Okay, it's a little bit lower. I want to get it into a clicker form so that I don't have to go reaching for it, because truth be told, this one is good, but if you double clutch, instead of 3 seconds, it goes on for about 20 seconds, which one point in the presentation, when it wouldn't shut up, that's exactly what's going on. Obviously, I went pip, pip, hit it twice, and I have to move away from it and just be in my head going, stop it, stop it. So, but catch me in a month and watch how I'm going to evolve. I do not know why Jimmy Kimmel and the rest of them aren't using some sort of laugh track, an applause track. I hope I didn't overdo it, but the fact is, I think it just adds a little energy and a little bit of a smile. And again, it continues to break down the wall. Randy, email me, rob@jolles.com, and I can go into a little bit more detail for you, okay? Next question.
I think that's all we've got by way of questions, Rob.
Okay. Well, good. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I can't wait to be at the next retreat for some of us that are going to be there. And anyway, it was just wonderful seeing you, and BK and Lisa and Christelle. Thank you so much for hosting and putting up with my nonsense. And let's go out there. And last thing I'm going to say is I have a little saying by my coffee machine, just a quote that I've always loved. Worry is the misuse of your imagination. Totally love that quote. So let's all not misuse our imaginations. There's going to be there's a beginning, middle, and end. We're going to be out there at some point. I'll be clean shaven again, and I look forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and your wisdom, Rob. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.